Hi, thanks for joining me today on Good Ship Happens. We have had a lot of really wonderful news coming up in the cruise industry, of course, too. I share stories about travel too, but also one thing that just came up recently, I forgot to share it last week, was Carnival Cruise Lines. What they do is Carnival Cruise Lines entertainment team is helping students set sail for success by they just reintroduced their internship at sea program. And the cruise line welcomed 24 students from 24 different U.S. universities to join their ships as youth staff, fun squad, technicians, and sport staff members. And what a wonderful experience for university students to actually be able to join on ships and learn more about what they do. And over the summer, these interns involved in this interactive program will receive hands-on experience, learning about teamwork, communications, problem solving, and leadership skills, all while earning college credit. Yes, they can actually earn college credit while being on a cruise ship, working on board a cruise ship as an intern, which is great. I just think this is so wonderful. Also, these students are actually being mentored by shipboard team members to help them transition into shipboard life. And this is actually something that Carnival Cruise Line started back in 2016. And since this internship at sea started in 2016, 65 students have actually participated on 20 ships. Several past interns have used the knowledge and experience from this program to really start their careers in the cruise industry, taking on a range of roles from cruise director to shoreside project manager. And in 2019, Carnival's internship at Sea program was actually recognized by Wake Up, which is a U.S.-based job site for college students, as one of the top 100 internship programs in the country. Of course, unfortunately, the program was actually paused in 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but once again, it's restarted, and I think it's just a wonderful way for students to actually get college credits, but also learn more about what it takes to actually work on a cruise ship and be an intern, which is great. And Chris Nelson, who is actually Carnival's Vice President of Entertainment, mentions we're elated to bring back this unique entertainment internship program because it's an incredible way to experience for both college students and our shipboard team members. It's important for us to really create these special opportunities to inspire the next generation and invest in the fun and memorable cruise vacations of the future. And if you want to learn more about this too, just keep this in mind, please. Share it, please, too. It's called Carnival Internship at Sea Program. And you can actually go to their website, www.goccl.com or at www.carnival.com. But I thought this is just such a wonderful experience for students to actually do and be an intern on a cruise ship and get college credits. Sorry, I get really excited about this too. This is just wonderful too. We've talked about Virgin Voyages before. And of course, Jennifer Lopez, yes. Richard Branson has talked to her several times about pulling her in, but what happened was they just announced this week. Virgin Voyages and Jennifer Lopez, they just introduced Gen AI. And actress Jennifer Lopez is collaborating with Richard Branson, of course, and Virgin Voyages to get people to participate in their new travel experience. It's called Gen AI, and it'll be used to persuade people to set sail aboard Virgin Voyages. And Gen AI is actually taking a new approach to how travelers can celebrate with Virgin Voyages, whether they're celebrating a 40th birthday, a college graduation, a 10th anniversary. Travelers can actually celebrate various milestones with the Virgin Voyages crew, which is great. And Jennifer Lopez mentioned more. She said, it's so important to me that we stop and take some time to really celebrate special moments in our lives and encourage others to do the same. If the last few years have taught us anything, it's how important it is to really cherish life's special moments with your inner circle. And once again, travelers will have an opportunity to invite friends and family with a custom invite from Jennifer Lopez, yes, from JLo. And it's with augmented reality too. And Virgin Voyage is actually enabling AI to really enhance it with Jennifer Lopez's personality too, which is great. So once again, you can activate Gen AI, the tool, too. So I want to share more about that, too. But once again, it sounds really great because, once again, Virgin Voyages does phenomenal things. You have to be 18 years or older to sail on Virgin Voyages, adults only, but the ships are gorgeous. Had a chance to see the Scarlet Lady when she first sailed into Port Miami back in 2021. Was there for about 6, 7, 8 hours. That evening was fantastic. Got a chance to dine at one of the restaurants. They don't have their main dining rooms, which is great. Everything's very specialized. Had a chance to taste some wonderful ice cream at Lick Me Till, which is their ice cream place. Yes, it's called Lick Me Till. And saw entertainment on board the ship. It was just gorgeous to finally see that ship. They're adding new ships too, which is great. But this is really kind of a fun thing to think about too. So definitely check into Gen AI. Okay. Something else that just came up too. I just really admire MSC Cruises, which is one of the cruise lines that's actually owned by MSC Group. And it's family owned. With MSC Group, they actually have, I think, the second or largest container shipping company in the world. That was the core business for years. And they're owned by a family, which is great. Over in Geneva, Switzerland, they've been around for several years. What they did was they started MSC Cruises, I'm trying to think when they started, but probably back maybe like 70s or early 80s. And what they did was they have their MSC Foundation. Also, they're launching their new luxury cruise line coming up in July. Yes, next couple weeks. Explorer Journeys, which is great. And it's bringing that ocean life to sea. But one thing that came up too with MSC Foundation, they do phenomenal things. I just am so impressed with what they do. What they did was the MSC Foundation actually did negotiate a time to lease an island in the Bahamas. It had been left by a manufacturing plant, and what they did was the family actually leased that island from the Bahamian government for $100 million for 100 years. The island was devastated. It was a former manufacturing plant. They left trash. They had to tow away 1,500 tons of scrap metal. What they did was they invested $400 million to get that island up in shape. They built 70,000 some trees. They're rebuilding the ocean life, the sea life there too. When I was there for the christening of one of their ships, they had it there. During the day, they actually did a sand cutting because they're building a marine lab there too. But what they did was I mentioned this earlier in a previous episode, they actually just planted 3 coral trees because they're really, really adamant about growing sea life again too. And with the coral trees, that really, really will be a great, great effort to do this too. I'll be writing more about that too. But also, the MSC Foundation just announced this week that the MSC Foundation is 5 years old. Over the past 5 years, they've really been driven by a really fantastic vision to restore the critical balance between people and nature within a generation. And it was founded really with the aim of really acting decisively today to build a better tomorrow. And the MSC Foundation is really committed to helping protect and nurture the beautiful blue planet and its people, and really leveraging MSC Global's reach and unique knowledge of the sea too, which is great too. And once again, at present, they actually run 18 different programs in 52 different countries. And they have 13 partners, also 72 beneficiary organizations. In addition to this, they're continuing with their emergency support, really completing 50 operations worldwide. And once again, over these 5 years they've been around in existence, they reached out to 1.5 million people as direct beneficiaries, which is great too. So once again, a new milestone, 5 years for the MSC Foundation. I'll be sharing about what they do later on too, but just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful organization. And one against it's family owned by the MSC Group too. So just want to share that with you because it really was fantastic, and having a chance to be at their private out island, which is called MSC Ocean Cay Marine Reserve, which is great, beautiful. It's not a party island. It's beautiful. They restore the beaches. They've got dining on board the island, of course, too. They've got a really fantastic area for people to explore different things. And like I said, when I was there, they actually did sand cutting. You get in the dock right there. They've got a beautiful dock right there. You can get on and off the ship. In the evening, they do fireworks, which is great. But once again, just a great experience. What's good too is it's only a couple hours away from Port Miami. And what they do is a lot of their ships actually go there for more than a day, which is great. You can get there in the morning and then not leave until maybe late evening, which is great too. In fact, earlier this year in April, I was flown out to New York to see their MSC Meraviglia. And it's one of their ships that MSC Cruises has. What they did was they decided to move that ship and have her be docked in New York City. And they're sailing that ship year-round from New York City, which is great now. And what they're doing is they're actually offering some sailings that would be going down to their Ocean Cay MSC Marine Reserve 2 in the Bahamas, which is great too. So different ways to really explore the world. But once again, it is a beautiful island, Ocean Cay MSC Marine Reserve. And also congratulations on the MSC Foundation as far as celebrating their 5th year of existence, which is great too. Yes, it does excite me because once again, we think about anniversaries and things, but once again, this is a foundation that gives back and really creates things in very, very positive ways for people, the environment, and more. And building those 3 coral trees is just one wonderful example. I'll be sharing more about that later on too. Something else that just came up too is I mentioned the new Celebrity Scent, which is going to be debuting in November this year. And that's the one that actually has the 2 co-captains who are brothers. Yes, they'll have 2 captains that are actually be driving that ship, literally. They're brothers, which is great. We shared before that one fun video interview that Lisa Lutoprolo, the president of Cruises, did with the 2 brothers, which is fun. But also what they're doing is they just announced this. And what they're doing is with Celebrity Cruises, it's part of the Royal Caribbean Corporation. But what they're doing is they just announced earlier this week, that with Celebrity Cruises ships, they're actually going to be including Coco Cay as one of the things that people can experience. They will take their ships, the Celebrity ships, certain cruise line ships with Celebrity, out to Ocean Cay, MSC Ocean Cay, which is great too. I'm saying Coco Cay, sorry. Didn't mean to mess it up, but Coco Cay is the Royal Caribbean's private island in the Caribbean too, which is great. And they call it a perfect day, Coco Cay. And once again, this is going to be taking place with the Celebrity Cruises Edge class ships. The actually Edge class ship Celebrity Beyond will be sailing all year from South Florida, while Celebrity Reflection will be sailing on shorter cruises on weekend getaways. And both ships are actually going to be calling on perfect day at Coco Cay, which is great. So once again, it's good to share news about this too, because once again, when you think about Royal Caribbean Corporation, they own 3 different cruise lines. Royal Caribbean, of course, we've got Celebrity Cruises, also Silversea Cruises. But what's great too is being able to actually have Celebrity Cruise Line guests be able to experience a perfect day at Coco Cay sounds wonderful. I've not been there myself, but I'd like to go there too. And once again, they mentioned when they just announced this that their customers are really, really asking for more opportunities to visit this stunning region year-round and have more weekend opportunities too. So get an easy way and really be able to, they really express a desire to see this private island destination. And by introducing this new program, they can really meet those demands of people. And which is great too, is because in January, they mentioned the destination expands with Hideaway Beach, which is an adults-only area with private cabanas, and also a new signature food outlet too. And also with Celebrity Beyond's new 6 and 8 night cruises, sailing from South Florida, the Celebrity Beyond will actually be offering a mix of 6 to 8 night cruises to destinations like Grand Cayman, the Bahamas, Mexico, Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao, along with the perfect day at Coco Cay. And also with the Celebrity Reflections 3 and 4 night getaways, this will be the first time they actually travelers have an opportunity to really get away every weekend on Celebrity Registration Reflections 3 and 4 night itineraries from Friday to Monday, and then their 4 night cruises from Monday to Friday. And nearly 40 departures will offer a chance to visit perfect day at Coco Cay, while also sailing to Key West and Bimini, which is great too. And they just announced this. It sounds phenomenal because once again, cruising is fantastic. Once again, you get to go to wonderful, amazing places. But one thing I really like to do too is being able to go to a private out island because you can actually relax or do as much as you want to do too. But relaxing on the private island is great because once again, it's private just for guests on board that cruise line ship. And beautiful things to explore, sea, ocean, things to do, fantastic cuisine. Get back on board the ship if you want to, but it's just a great way to really relax and enjoy the ocean from land. Once again, they've invested so much money to create these private out island experiences too. So once again, if you're thinking about taking celebrity cruises, keep this in mind because once again, they just announced this and they've revamped their summer 2024 Caribbean season, doubling the year-round sailings in the region, also charting Perfect Day at Coco Cay for the first time, which is great too. So that was breaking news this week. I want to share that too because once again, I love private outlines. I've been to several over the years and not been to Perfect Day at Coco Cay myself, but definitely it'd be fun to go there. Definitely fun to go there too. Mark, did you have any questions for me or not? Because we've got a lot more news coming up too. Something that just came up too is with the Celebrity Ascent, which is going to be debuting as mentioned this fall in November. I actually am going to be having a chance to be on the Celebrity Ascent for a couple days. I got invited last week. Of course, I said yes. Can't wait to be on board the ship for, I think, 3 nights and a couple days, which is great too. I'll be sharing more about that, but it just kind of came up accidentally. And I'm just so thrilled to actually see it. It might be the naming ceremony, I'm not sure, but it just came up. I said, yes, I want to go, and I'll hear more later. But it is Celebrity Cruises.
Quick question and everything. I've definitely popped back on and got a couple of videos that I'm going to bring up, but one of them was only a brief video, so I'm not going to give that one. But I was just wondering, when you have been on cruises, have you ever run across a turtle? Because apparently there was a Ninja Turtle that was on one of the cruises and somebody had recorded it, and it was not the best video. That's why I'm not bringing that one up. But apparently the turtle was, almost in the path of the cruise, and some people were trying to shoot it and all in that space. So I did not get a good view of that particular one, but I was wondering if on any of your past cruises you had to run across a turtle or a dolphin or something else that was almost there and about to be directing the ship, or maybe even trying to guide the ship, or definitely trying to interfere with the ship because the ship is coming through its course and all in that space. I just wondering if you had ever been on a ship and observed some of these wonderful animals and sea life, and sometimes they're sitting there going like, why is the big ship in my lane, and why am I not knowing it, and why didn't they not send me a directive telling me that they were going to be coming and all in that space? I just wondered your own experiences with ships and all in that space. And speaking of experiences, really quickly, I did know that sometimes 4th of July is coming up, and of course 4th of July is a family activity. A lot of people will be out watching the fireworks and checking out a number of other things. And you mentioned the cruise that doesn't like children and all in that space, but there are some cruises that are very friendly toward the youth and all in that space. So I'm actually going to play a video right now as soon as it comes up, where a family gave us their 80-year-old's favorite things that they enjoyed about being on a cruise. And I think it might have been Royal Caribbean or one of the other ones, but the 8-year-old and the family shared some of the things that they loved about being on this particular cruise. And this is actually only about 4 minutes long. I think the other one is a little bit longer, but let's check out the 8-year-old's favorite activities that they enjoyed being on this particular cruise, if that's okay with you.
Yes, that's great.
Let's check it out.
Hey everybody, it's Matt
and Gabby
from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and today we're counting down my 8-year-old daughter's favorite things to do on a Royal Caribbean cruise.
Up next.
There's so many great things to do on a Royal Caribbean cruise as a family, and it's not just me who really loves it. Gabriella, my 8-year-old daughter, loves to go on a cruise almost as much as I do. And today, I thought it'd be fun to count down her favorite things to do on a Royal Caribbean cruise, besides, of course, being difficult to wake up in the morning for shore excursions.
Stop it, Daddy. Number 1, Adventure Ocean.
Adventure Ocean is Royal Caribbean's award-winning children's program available on every single Royal Caribbean ship, and I know that my kids love going there each and every cruise.
I like Adventure Ocean because it has a lot of fun games that you can play with the counselors.
And I like Adventure Ocean because it gives my wife and I some opportunity to do some adult things while the kids are having a great time up in Adventure Ocean.
Number 2 is water slides.
It should probably come as no surprise that kids really like going down water slides. Heck, I like going down water slides as well.
And I really like that water slides, how fast you can go on them, and how many times you can go on them.
Water slides on Royal Caribbean Ship have no additional cost, and they're really a great family activity to do on a sea day, port day, really anytime.
And don't forget to pack your bathing suit on the first day so that way you don't have to wait in long lines. Number 3, bumper cars.
Available on the Quantum class ships, Royal Caribbean's bumper cars have been a real hit with kids and adults as well. I got to admit, I enjoy doing it. And it's a complimentary activity again, and something my kids wanted to do over and over and over again when we were on Anthem of the Seas recently.
Bumper cars are fun because when you go on bumper cars, you can bump into people and say that you're really sorry, but you're not actually sorry.
Bumper cars will be available to do on multiple days of your cruise, but you definitely want to get there a little early to beat the crowds.
Number 4, eating at the Windjammer.
Don't you mean the Windjammer?
No, it's the Windjammer, Daddy.
Well, whatever you want to call it, it is the complimentary buffet available on all Royal Caribbean ships. And what's great about the Windjammer, or Windjammer, however you want to call it, is that it just offers so many great food options, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner. There is a smorgasbord of choices available, and that's going to make anybody happy, including picky eaters.
My 3 favorite foods at the Windjammer are bacon, chicken nuggets, and turkey.
As a parent, I love the Windjammer because it gives our kids an opportunity to try new foods that they might not ordinarily order at a regular restaurant, and there's no concern because, of course, we're not paying extra for the Windjammer. They can try anything they want, and there's no risk involved.
Number 5, going to Perfect Day at Coco Cay.
From the first time I visited Perfect Day at Coco Cay, I knew this would be a huge hit with families, and when my kids got to visit their first time, they couldn't get enough of it. Perfect Day at Coco Cay is Royal Caribbean's private island in the Bahamas, and it has become a huge hit with everybody because there's so many great things to do with families, whether it's water slides, the Oasis Lagoon pool, the beach, of course, and a lot of other activities all in between.
Perfect Day is amazing because you can go on so many slides and the wave pool.
Now, of course, Gabriella really likes the water park, which does have an additional cost to it, but there's still lots of great complimentary opportunities in and around Perfect Day at Coco Cay, so check it all out. So there you have it, an 8-year-old kid's favorite things to do on a Royal Caribbean cruise. Hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you to Gabriella for helping me out on this one. Don't forget, subscribe to our channel, like these videos if you like them, and be sure to turn on your notifications. This is Matt
And Gabby.
from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.
That was great.
That was great, but we got another one. That was Royal Caribbean. Now we're going to see what the kids like doing on Carnival cruises. And this is a little bit longer. So let's see what the kids like doing on Carnival cruises.
Sure.
10 reasons why your kids are going to love going on a Carnival cruise.
Water slides are the best! Woo!
Ice cream is free! Woo! Oh! The pools are amazing!
It doesn't matter if you can't swim. These 3 kids' life jacket means anyone can swim.
Carnival has the best theme night, like Elvis now.
Mexican night. Ole! It's Halloween! Best Halloween trick-or-treating ever. Camp Ocean is awesome! There are cool excursions like parasailing! Welcome to the Great Barrier Reef! We just finished snorkeling at the Great Barrier Reef. It's amazing! This place is paradise! Cutest cow animals ever. So cute. 9! Carnival is everything kids love to eat. Having dinner is really fun! Chicken nuggets! When you think you have a normal pizza, boom. Wow, look at that. You can drink all the lemonade you want for free. 10! That's all we need to do on the ship. Woo! This is awesome. There's a really cool game arcade. Game on! Awesome!
You have to get off the cruise ship.
No,
Brooke,
no,
get off the ship.
no.
To get off the ship, but I
That's
gotta
me. That's me. That's me. No, I don't want to get off the ship.
I
Okay.
want to get off the ship. Speaking
No,
of
I
wanting to you don't want to get off the ship. Speaking of not wanting to get off the ship and everything, have you ever been out in somewhere and found an Allen that apparently is shaped like a turtle? Because I was doing some research and I found an
Oh.
Allen that apparently is shaped like a turtle. Would you like to learn more about this Allen that is shaped like a turtle? Because I just found out about it recently and it's out there in the ocean and it's got a name and it's about 3 minutes long. So let's check
Sure.
out about this Allen shaped like a turtle.
Okay. That
Apparently,
is
it's one big yacht
phenomenal.
called that. Wasn't that phenomenal? One big yacht shaped like a
Yes.
turtle.
Because you know what really funny too is I got this one business friend we met at Sea Trade, my gosh, so probably 2018. And he actually has helped create cruise ports for different cruise lines over the years. We met Sea Trade, talked a lot. I gave him a copy of my book. He's really excited about it and kept up. He's written a couple books, and he actually is the one that developed Falmouth, Jamaica, which is great. Other ports too. But what he did was, when I was at the Sea Trade Cruise Global Conference, he's been getting at different things too, especially with the pandemic. The pandemic came up. He's been doing different things too, and also phasing out more the creating the cruise ports for different areas too. But the point is, he's got something else in mind, and he actually did a presentation. So, City, make sure that you come to this special presentation at Sea Trade Cruise Global Conference. And he was one of the presenters.
Well,
And
like I said,
something different as far as is creating. He calls it creating a virtual port, which is great.
and that's what they said. This article that I found, and that was the video, but the article said that in a time of economic crisis, what could be more outrage than a super yacht? Well, that thing was a
Right.
Super yacht, of course, a name given to a vessel even bigger than super, mega, and giga yachts. And the latest luxury boat to hit the market is called Pangeo, named after Pangea, a supercontinent that existed from 200 million to 335 million years ago. And those seem like big numbers. Wait until you hear how many dollars it's going to take to construct that Terra yacht, because they're saying that it would be $8 million according to the designer. We see the designer's name mentioned, that being Lazzarini. So definitely,
Yes.
it's definitely that it's when funded, this will become the largest floating structure ever built, looking like a Bond villain lair. It sprawls 500 meters, 1,800 feet long, and 610 meters, 2,000 feet wide, and a full-on floating city. According to Lazzarini, the yacht will have space for hotels, shopping malls, parks, and even ports for smaller ships and aircrafts to get guests there in style. And style there will be, given that it's shaped like a Terra turtle. So it is shaped, like you noticed, as a Terra turtle, and it's definitely some great things that they've got in mind with what they are doing. And the designers have earmarked a space at King Abdullah Port, 81 miles north of Jeddah, as the ideal location for this particular thing, and all along those lines. And below the living space are going to be 30,000 sails, which would keep the structure afloat. The basement would be made of steel. It'll have a massive 30-meter or 98 feet of draft and be able to cruise at a speed of 5 knots, although the wings would draw energy from the drag and waves breaking against the ship, and the roof would have solar panels to power the yacht. So they've got some big plans for this thing, and it sounds like it's going to be amazing, and they're hoping that the construction could start. Not immediate, though. They've got a few years to go down this end. They hope the construction can start about 10 years from now in 2033 with a build time of 8 years. So we're probably looking at about 2041 that it would be designed, but they want to see it on the water. Guess what? Like everything else, there's a crowdfunding initiative which allows you to buy anything from a virtual entrance ticket, which I think is going for $16, to a VIP apartment, only $169 via an NFT. That's for a virtual apartment, of course. But if you want to buy a real one, you can put the money towards a deposit for the real thing. But now that's where they're going to try to find these $8 billion, and they are doing fundraisers in a lot of ways. So who knows, maybe in 2041 or sometime in the near future, we will see this floating super yacht that looks like a sea turtle. So that would be amazing. And they have definitely got the design. We just saw the design in all in that space. I got one more video for you, if it's okay with you. It's a long one. And this one, I know that you sometimes like to go overseas and all in that space. So I found one about a trip. I believe it's in a part of London, and we're going to check it out. And I think it's some of those smaller boats, but there is a couple that talks about their trip. I think it's in a area of England, but I'll let them explain it versus me.
Okay. Great. And the thing is, when you go to England, I've got a friend, we Skype all the time. He's from outside London.
Cool.
And he always says, indeed.
Indeed.
Very
Well,
British. We say, indeed. So
Well,
let's go watch the video. Indeed.
All right, let's indeed watch the video.
TheJamies.net. The Cayman Turtle Center is a large wildlife conservation facility located in Grand Cayman. In addition to educational information, the park provides opportunities for guests to swim and snorkel with green sea turtles. Sea sharks, barracuda, and other predators play in a large freshwater pool, and more. In this video, we'll provide an overview and tips from our December 2022 visit to the Cayman Turtle Center, when our ship, the Carnival Sunrise, visited Grand Cayman. Just a quick note that if you enjoy this video, please give us a thumbs up or leave a comment. It really helps our channel, and consider subscribing so you get alerted when we add new videos. Although cruise lines offer excursions to the Cayman Turtle Center that include transportation, we decided to purchase our tickets directly through the park and travel by public bus. Doing the visit on our own saved some money for our family and also allowed us to experience the park on a more relaxed time schedule. We booked the full-access Turtle Adventure Tour through the center's website prior to our cruise. The tour included general admission and access to all of the major attractions. The day of our visit, we took the complimentary water shuttle from our ship to the Royal Watler Cruise Terminal. We then exited the terminal area and walked along Harbor Drive to the intersection with Fort Street, then turned right, crossed the street, and walked along Fort Street to Heroes Square and the bus depot. The entire walk from the entrance of the cruise terminal area to the bus depot took about 5 minutes. Buses at the depot left roughly every 5 minutes and cost $2.50 per person each way. With a very short wait, we were soon on our way to the Cayman Turtle Center, about 10 minutes after stepping foot on the island. It's worth noting that we paid for everything on the island in U.S. currency, which is accepted everywhere as part of the Cayman Islands' dual currency economy. The drive to the park took about 25 minutes. After arriving, we went to the park's ticket booth, where we redeemed the tickets we purchased online for wristbands. After entering the Cayman Turtle Center shortly after it opened, we quickly realized there were only a few other guests at the park because the cruise ship excursions had not yet arrived. We decided to take advantage of the low crowds and headed straight to the saltwater Turtle Lagoon to swim and snorkel with the young green sea turtles and reef fish. Before heading in, we stored our belongings in a locker at the nearby shower facilities, using a lock we rented from the ticket booth at the entrance to the park. A small shed structure located at the entrance to the Turtle Lagoon water provided life jackets and snorkeling gear that was included with our ticket. The lagoon was lengthy, and some areas were too deep to stand with our heads above water, so we greatly appreciated the life jackets letting us enjoy a relaxing swim among the marine life. We really enjoyed our time swimming and snorkeling with the turtles, especially since we practically had the whole lagoon to ourselves for about an hour before other guests arrived. After snorkeling, we showered and changed, then visited the Turtle Education Center and Hatchery. Unfortunately, we visited during the hatchery's off-season, but there were still educational exhibits and videos available. Our next stop was Green's Breeding Bay, which was located near the entrance to the Cayman Turtle Center. The bay was home to the park's fully mature breeding green sea turtles, and some of the turtles weighed more than 300 pounds, or 136 kilograms. Continuing counterclockwise around the park, the next exhibit we visited was the Turtle Tanks, which featured turtles of varying ages and sizes. As we walked around the turtle tanks, we saw the first of many wild green iguanas and feral chickens that were wandering around the park. Nearby, the turtle wading pools allow guests to enter the water and touch younger turtles, much to the delight of Jelly Bean. Guests were not allowed to pick up the turtles and were instructed to interact with the turtles by using a gentle two-finger touch. A hand washing and sanitizing station was located nearby. Breakers Lagoon was a freshwater pool area located near the back of the Cayman Turtle Center that featured waterfalls and the Turtle Twister water slide. The lagoon had pool depths that range up to 8 feet, or about 2.4 meters. And the minimum height to ride the water slide was 4 feet, or about 1.2 meters. Around the pool area, there were sun loungers and shaded areas, bathrooms and lockers, a small playground for small children, and more chickens and iguanas. The pool area also featured an underwater view of the nearby predator reef, but we used the dry viewing window to view the sharks, barracudas, and other predators. Near the pool area and the predator reef, the park had a restaurant with food and drinks available for purchase. Our final stops at the Cayman Turtle Center included the Caribbean Free Flight Aviary, which featured birds that are native to the Caribbean, the Cayman Butterfly House, which had very few butterflies due to the time of the year, and the gift shop, which was located at the park's exit. To catch the public bus back to the bus depot and cruise terminal area, we waited in the shaded area in front of the park. We only had to wait a couple of minutes before a bus arrived and we headed back. Now a few quick tips for your visit to the Cayman Turtle Center. Signage is plentiful throughout the park, but we found it helpful to have an understanding of the park's layout before we arrived. A map is available on the park's website, which we've linked in the description below. We also found it helpful to take a photo of the day's schedule of events, which was posted at the park's ticket booth. If you're planning to rent a lock for a locker, the rental required a $20 cash deposit during our visit. $10 was returned to us when we returned the lock as we exited the park. Free public Wi-Fi was available throughout the park. The Wi-Fi password could be requested from the staff at the park's ticket booth. For the public bus, don't wait until the last minute to catch a bus back to the bus depot and cruise terminal area. The buses are basically just large passenger vans, and they will not stop if they're already full of passengers. Since the bus routes begin and end at the depot, this really isn't a problem for the bus ride heading to the park. During our visit, the Cayman Turtle Center was available from the yellow westbound number 1 and the green westbound number 2 bus routes. Bus routes can change, so we highly recommend checking with the driver to confirm the bus is headed to the park before getting in.
Actually, the
That's
Caribbean,
interesting.
I do have the English one, and then I'm going to turn it over to you and everything.
Great.
But we do have the English folks, so let's check out the English couple as well, since we have to have that indeed conversation. But
Yes, we
give
do.
up
We
the
do.
turtles.
What good too is my friends tells me when it gets really hot in the United Kingdom, like last year, it was like 104 degrees.
Right.
A lot of people there don't have air conditioning. He says, okay, Cindy, it's bloody hot here.
Understood. Well, let's check out this couple and see if it's bloody hot where they're at. I think they're in Milford. Milford is where they're at. So let's see about this Milford trip that also involved the waterways.
All right, so you want to visit Milford Sound? We got 5 tips for you coming up that you need to know before you go.
So welcome back to Adventures with Rosie. If you're new here, welcome along. I'm Bronson.
I'm Chelsea.
And we are a family of 5. We live full-time in our Jayco Journey caravan, and we're travelling in New Zealand.
Yeah.
We just did Milford Sound, had an absolute blast.
Yes.
And we thought today we'd kind of share 5 tips or 5 things we think you should know before you visit Milford. Things you might not be aware of. And so, yeah, let's get into them. Alright, so the first piece of advice we can give you, the first tip, is take your time getting there.
Yes, the road into Milford Sound is amazing.
It's incredible.
You want to stop lots of times, give yourself plenty of time so that you're not rushed to get to your boat.
Yeah. If you're leaving from Te Anau, it's about 2 hours into Milford Sound. We took probably three and a half hours to get in because we stopped, and we didn't stop at all the places you could stop. So there's waterfalls, there are awesome lookout vantages.
Yeah,
take your time getting in. You may even want to book a cruise for later in the day so you can just spend the morning driving in.
Yep.
And enjoying it. Kia along the way as well. We saw Kia, waterfalls all over the place.
Yeah,
so
a really neat tunnel too.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So take your time and allow yourself plenty of time to get there.
Number 2 is parking. So we parked as close as we could to the boat terminal. And it was, how much was it? $25?
It is $25. So you're parking in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly.
There's nowhere else to park really, and you're going to be stung $25. So factor that in. There is camper van parking and things like that, so that's fine. But just factor that into your budget.
Yeah.
You're going to pay $25 for parking.
And
now,
it's still 10 minutes away from the boat terminal, so you've got to walk 10 minutes to get there. Yeah.
Now there is some free parking that apparently is further around by the airport. But you're probably looking at a half an hour walk to the boats or a 20-minute run. So, yeah, factor in $25 for parking. Seems steep, probably the most expensive car park in New Zealand.
Right, point number 3 is gear. Be prepared.
Yep, so we're talking food, fuel, and wet weather gear.
So the food, there's no cafes or shops or anything out in Milford, so you need to take what food you need for the day. Some boats have food available on the boat, so we cruised with Pure Milford. There was plenty of food and drink available. There was a licensed bar too, but if the boat was full, there probably wouldn't be enough for everyone to buy their lunch. So make sure you're taking food with you for the day.
You will see on some of the tickets it says limited food available for purchase. There are
snacks.
Yeah, snacks. There was free tea and coffee on our cruise, which was good. But yeah, there were pies and
sandwiches
and things like that for purchase as well. But don't bank on it. I would go to a bakery in Te Anau or make some sandwiches the night before. Take what food you need for sure. The same goes for fuel. There's no petrol station out there. There's no BP with your pies and all that sort of thing out there. There is a 24-hour, I think it's McCowan's in Te Anau. Good fuel prices there, 24-hour self-service one. So if you're leaving super early in the morning, you can just get fuel on the way. But fill up.
Keep in mind the drive's 2 hours each way.
Yeah.
You're going to need fuel.
You'll need a full tank of fuel to get there.
Yeah. And the third part is wet weather gear. So when we were on the boat, it was a pretty nice day and you still got very wet. So, you know, they pull it right up under waterfalls. There are a few raincoats they can lend you on board on the boat that we were on.
I forgot a jacket.
Yeah. Most people were coming out pretty soaking and you don't really want to be in wet clothes for the full day. So take wet weather gear with you.
Take a jacket. Take a few layers probably because when you're just sort of cruising through the sounds, it's nice. It can be quite warm, but then you get under those waterfalls and it's a whole other story. So, yeah. Take your food, take your fuel as much as you can, and jackets for sure. All right, so tip number 4 is shopping around. So there are plenty of, we were quite surprised actually of the number of operators, tour operators on that area. You walk down the pier, there'd be 8, at least 8
At
maybe.
least 8, yeah.
So yeah, plenty of boats to choose from.
Yeah. And they're all largely the same kind of cruise. Like there might be slight differences in each operator as terms of food available. Maybe the length of cruise is a little bit longer or a little bit shorter than each other, but they're all roughly the same. And you can look around on pages like Book Me or Grab One, and there's usually pretty good deals to be had, right? I think ours was $59 per person on Pure Milford, and that was a pretty good price for, was it 2-hour cruise?
Yeah, we did the 2-hour cruise. Some are 2.5, and I think some cruises do a lunch as well, like a buffet style lunch. But definitely shop around, like have a look around. They kind of all do the same circuit. They have slightly different departure times. Some boats are newer than others.
Yeah.
We went on Pure Milford, and we can, I guess, only speak for them, but that boat was awesome, eh?
Yes.
It was flash.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
I should say as well, if you want to see our full video of this, I'll link it up here. But check that out. You'll see the boat. It was amazing. It was it was like a luxury yacht sort of thing.
Very nice.
Big booth seating, glass ceiling as well, so you could see the waterfalls if you're sitting inside.
Plenty of room up the front of the boat for everyone to get out and get a good look.
Yeah, we saw dolphins. We stood under waterfalls. We had an amazing time. So we'll link that video up there as well if you want to watch. Definitely go and check that out. See what it's all about.
Yeah.
And lastly, tip number 5, I titled this tip Midweek or Off-Peak. I was quite proud of myself. But we went in a very quiet time, largely due to coronavirus and New Zealand being partly in lockdown.
Yeah.
But yeah, how many people were on our boat?
20, including our group of 7.
Yeah.
We had the whole downstairs of the boat to ourselves, which meant we had access to the front of the boat to get out and look. Everyone could get out the front fine. There was no fighting for space like I can imagine it would be if the boat had 200 people on it.
Yeah, so the boat was good for like 200, 220 people or something like that. And the guy that sort of manned the cafe, he was saying like, on a Saturday morning cruise, it's going to be hectic.
Yeah.
And so when they say, oh, there's dolphins off the front of the bow, you can only imagine 100 people trying to go out with their cameras to get a picture of a dolphin. Where, like Chelsea said, there were literally 20 of us. We visited like midweek on like a Wednesday.
Yeah, start of December.
Yeah, so pre-Christmas. Sorry, kids are outside. So highly recommend like book your trip midweek or on a shoulder season.
Yeah.
You're not going to
be
regret
that
it.
much more enjoyable for you if you're not having to jostle for space and you can spread out a bit and it's a bit more relaxing, right?
And don't worry about the weather. Like you could book it in April. You don't need to book it in the middle of summer. Yeah, book it on the shoulder of the busy season and get in that midweek. Look for a deal online and you'll have just as much fun as you would in the middle of summer. And
Milford's pretty rainy anyway as well. They get the most amount of rain, I think, in all of New Zealand, is it?
Yeah.
So don't be afraid of the rain. If it's raining, still go. Like it makes the waterfalls that much better.
For sure. So hopefully those were helpful. 5 little tips we kind of picked up from our trip there. Now in the next video from us, we are going to Doubtful Sound. So that's Milford's neighbour as far as sounds go, fjords. So another boat trip there. That's actually a longer boat trip. It's a couple of boat trips and a bus trip in between.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you're not already. We'll see you in Doubtful Sound.
Yeah.
So I'm geographically challenged. That was actually New Zealand. And next time on next week's show, I'll try to bring up some stuff from England and some of the other places that I said and all of that. But definitely we got some different aspects of the world, the turtle tour there in the Caribbean, and this time small boats that can take you around the sounds of New Zealand and all in that space. So we got a little bit of a flavor of the different types of cruises and that folks can go on as well. Like I said, next week I'll try to find an actual English cruise. So I was being a little geographically challenged. Hey, it happens to the best of us.
Sure. But the funny thing, when I was in Miami a couple weeks ago for that World Travel Expo Miami, I did actually see a baby iguana.
Oh, wow.
Crossing over. Being very, very careful. They have baby iguanas sounded like crazy. I actually saw one real quickly. I was walking back from the Miami Convention Center, just right around to the hotel, which is right next door. But there's a little baby iguana just kind of walking very carefully in the parking lot, of course. He was very, very safe. you know.
No, yeah, I think I told you that I had that experience myself on the one cruise I went, and we stopped. It might have been either in Puerto Rico or Virgin Islands or one of those islands. And there was an outside restaurant, and I remember grabbing some food, and sitting next to me was just like dogs and cats might be begging for food. There was a little iguana or some other lizard-like critters that was sitting there looking at me like, one, what are you doing here? And two, can I get a half of whatever you're having? Don't you want to share your meal? I mean, you're a human. Go ahead and share your meal. And you don't know this, Eddie, but a long time ago, I had a friend that moved from North Carolina back to New York. I think they were originally from New York, and they were in the theater space. So they had geckos, and they gave several of us geckos that they had, because I think they had about 9 or 10. And I think that I had, at least for a year, maybe a year and a half, 2 years, the 3 of the geckos, and they were, are you ready for this? Because they were named after Latin dishes, all of her geckos. I think the young lady's name was Amy, if I remember correctly. But I had Alfredo, fettuccine, and linguine. Those are the 3 that I got. So they named them after all Italian dishes, because I think you might have even had some Italian heritage yourself. But yeah, the 3 that I got were fettuccine, linguine, and Alfredo. And I used to joke that whenever you would see that gecko commercial, the one that still is on the air, my aquarium area was closer to the kitchen, and I had the TV closer, like in between the 2 bedrooms, my guest bedroom and my regular bedroom. And it seemed like whenever that gecko would come on TV, that the geckos would be in their aquarium looking, going like, why is Cousin Ed on TV? And how come he got the contract and we didn't get the contract? We want that contract.
Right. But how fun. I mean, food is fun, especially on cruise lines. One thing that just came up too this week was with American Queen Voyages. What they do is they've got some really fantastic chefs. In fact, one is actually Chef Regina Charbonneau. And I actually had a chance to interview her when American Queen Voyages started out. She is just a wonderful culinary chef. And what they're doing is they just announced it, but they've got some Southern chefs, including Regina Charbonneau and bourbon historian Michael Veach, I think is pronounced his name, but they're going to actually accompany a bourbon-themed cruise on American Queen Voyages.
Wow.
Yeah, bourbon cruise.
A bourbon cruise. That sounds like it could be real fun. Bourbon.
Oh, yes. What funny thing is with Brennan is actually a chef owner of Bourbon House. It's a New Orleans landmark since 2002. And today, once again, Dickie, Brennan, and company, they actually include 4 restaurants in the city's French Quarter. That includes Bourbon House, the Palace Cafe, Dickie Brennan Steakhouse, and Tableau. And of course, Regina Charbonneau is actually a restaurateur. She's a cookbook author, and she's been serving as American Queen Voyages culinary ambassador. And she actually at one point actually owned Regina's at the Regis, and also Biscuits and Blues in San Francisco Natchez. And she's known really as the biscuit queen of Natchez.
Wow.
Which is really fun. I interviewed her via phone. She was so fun to interview via phone. I wrote about her later on after they first started, but she's just fantastic. But how fun they're doing this special bourbon cruise.
It sounds like it would be real fun. I don't know
what's coming up, but I'll share more about that later. But that was kind of fun because once again, you think about cuisine on board the ships, and you got so many different choices. Even when you shared these little kids talking about the food, different choices for everybody, you know?
Yeah, no doubt about that. And all along those lines, no gearing to wind down and all in that space. But I was actually thinking about a friend of mine owns a company called Shoe Crazy, and another person is, well, they don't own it. Actually, the women owns it, but he represents them and all the main friend. But I have another friend that is involved in a couple of beer companies. So who knows? Maybe they'll do some cruises associated with their different brands. So that is a thing that folks can do, is tie their brands to the cruises. So I have to want to do maybe a wine cruise or a beer cruise or something in that space. But I'm going to turn it over to you. And whenever you're ready to close everything out, I think we'll go out to J-Lo, since we have the J-Lo commercial this time, and we did the...
Well, it's funny. They just announced that 10 AI this week. How fun is that?
That's going to be amazing. So I'm going to let you turn it over, but after you're done, we'll have the J-Lo commercial where they're asking about the naming, and I know they've already got that going on, but it's still a fun commercial. But I'll let you close us on it.
Great. Once again, we've got different things coming up. As I mentioned, with American Queen Voyages, they just announced a special American Countess bourbon-themed cruise. Oh, I found out what it's going to be. It's going to be August 21st on the American Countess sailing, which is great. So keep that in mind if you do like bourbon. And they actually be there with Chef Regina Charbonneau, also culinary legend Dickie Brennan too. That's great too. And something else real quick I'll share and go back to, tying things up today, but also something that came up too is with wine. Cruise lines do partner with different people. One that came up a couple years ago, at least 5, 6, 7 years ago, is actually with Norwegian Cruise Line. And they did a fantastic partnership with Michael Mondavi, who has the M Wines, and he has the cellars on board a couple of their ships. I got a chance to meet him twice, which is great. But also one thing that was announced this week too is Oceania Cruises. They just introduced their fine wine collection. And what they're doing is they're launching a fine wine collection across the fleet of their 7 ships featuring 80 new labels. And they're sommelier-led programs, which are going to be exclusive on the new Oceania Vista, which is great too. And so they have different wines on board, but it's a special fine wine collection. So definitely keep that in mind too, in case you're thinking about that too, because once again, there's so many different things you can actually do. And with their Vista, they just debuted that ship in May this year, which is great. So it's fantastic because Oceania Cruises also is going to be celebrating their 20th anniversary, I think, this year too, which is great. But I just want to share with you now too. There's so many different choices as far as cuisine, wines, experiences. You can, enjoy different things too, as far as cuisine, whatever. But definitely I'll share more about that later on in my next week's episode. So once again, thanks for joining me today on Good Ship Happens. Yes, I'll be sharing more next week. Meantime, we'll close out with Jennifer Lopez. And once again, Virgin Voyages just announced that they have the new Gen AI launching right now, which is great. So look that up too if you get a chance, okay? Until next week, Cindy Bertram, and we can go now to more about Jennifer Lopez, J-Lo.
Hi, Richard. How you doing?
Ahoy, Jennifer. Lovely to see you. I'm so excited we're partnering on Virgin Voyages.
Yeah, I'm really excited too, but I was thinking that maybe before we announce it, that we should decide on my official title at Virgin Voyages.
Yes, and I already have a few options for you.
Okay.
What about something catchy like, don't be fooled by the ship that I got. I'm now Jenny from the dock.
Okay.
Dame Jennifer Lopez.
Isn't there like a paperwork and like a sword involved?
Supreme Goddess of Mermaids.
You know what? Let's just tackle the title thing later. I'm just excited to share our gorgeous ships with the whole world.
Okay. Look, I'll brainstorm a little more and catch up soon on it. Mermaid in Manhattan?